Welcome to Kiki's Talk Buffet. Let's talk it out.
Okay, let's dive in. There's this great story, right? It's 1974. Ray Kroc, the McDonald's guy, is talking to an MBA class.
Oh, I think I know this one.
Yeah. So he asks them, pretty straightforward, what business am I in? And apparently the students kind of laugh, like obviously hamburgers, what else?
Right. You see the golden arches, you think burgers and fries. It's the immediate thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Kroc, he wasn't joking. He lets them say hamburgers, then drops this bombshell. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not in the hamburger business. My business is real estate.
Wow. That just shifts your whole perspective, doesn't it? The product isn't the core business. It's the foundation under the product.
Totally. And the scale today is, well, it's mind-blowing. McDonald's is apparently the largest single owner of real estate globally.
Right.
Bigger than the Catholic Church even. They own these prime corners, intersections all over the world.
Incredible. And a friend who was supposedly in that class, he apparently now runs car washes.
Yeah, and he says the same thing. His business isn't washing cars. It's the land those car washes sit on.
It's such a perfect lead-in to what we're exploring today, which is this idea of minding your own business. It's secret number 3 of the rich, according to our source material.
Right, and it's about figuring out what your real business is, which maybe surprisingly isn't always your job.
Exactly. So our mission today, for you listening, is to really unpack that. What does it actually mean to mind your own business? How is it different from just, your profession or focusing only on your income?
Because most people, let's be honest, spend their lives working in someone else's business.
Absolutely. You work for a company, the owners benefit, you pay your taxes, your mortgage, and after years, sometimes decades, many people find they haven't really built up substantial assets of their own.
Okay, so let's really get into that difference. Profession versus business. Like, take a banker.
Okay.
Their profession. Banking. They work at the bank. They do bank stuff, but they don't usually own the bank. That's not their business.
And this touches on something fundamental about, well, our education system. It mostly trains us for professions, doesn't it? To be doctors, lawyers, mechanics.
Yeah, good jobs. Scholastic skills earn a good wage. The focus is heavily on the income column, the paycheck.
But minding your own business, as the source puts it, it's about shifting your focus, not just income, but the asset column, what you own.
And that's where the common thinking often stops short. You hear people say things like,
Oh, I really need a raise.
right, or if I could just get promoted, or maybe I should go back to school for a better job.
Work overtime, get a second job.
All focused on increasing that income. Which isn't bad in itself, but
But it doesn't automatically build security unless that extra money is used strategically, specifically to buy or create assets, things that generate more income.
okay, so it's what you do with the money. Are you just spending more because you earn more, or are you putting it into that asset column?
Precisely. And this leads to another interesting point, the misunderstanding around what an asset truly is, particularly for, say, the poor and middle class.
Yeah, there's often this sort of fiscal conservatism, right? I can't afford to take risks
Right.
because there isn't that solid financial base.
Exactly. And remember those periods of downsizing we've seen?
Oh, definitely.
People suddenly looked at their house, their biggest asset, and realized, wait, this costs me money every month. It's not making me money. Same with the car, often.
Right, liabilities eating you alive, basically.
Yeah.
Not true assets in a crunch.
And think about credit applications. People list all sorts of things, golf clubs, art, maybe even furniture.
Trying to boost that net worth.
Yeah, but those things rarely hold value, let alone produce income. Our source even mentions getting turned down for a loan once because he owned too much income-generating real estate. The bank felt safer with a regular paycheck.
That seems completely backwards.
Yeah.
But it shows the different mindset.
It really does. And even when you do have assets, that net worth figure isn't the whole story. Sell a stock, sell a property. You've got taxes on the gain.
So the cash you actually walk away with is less than the perceived value increase. You sell something for $1,000 profit, you're not pocketing the full grand.
Exactly. So understanding all that, what does it mean to properly mind your own business? The core idea seems to be start buying real assets. And you do this while you still have your day job.
Keep the income stream going, but start building something else alongside it. And know the difference between an asset and a liability, that shiny new car.
Loses value the second you drive it off the lot. Big liability, usually, even if the bank calls it an asset on paper.
So the practical advice is
Mhm.
keep expenses down, pay down liabilities, the things draining your cash, and really focus diligently on building a base of solid assets, things that put money in your pocket.
And this connects to financial education, especially for younger people. Our source really emphasizes parents teaching kids this stuff early. Asset versus liability.
It's so important
Yeah.
because you see young couples starting out, and sometimes the first things they acquire are liabilities, often funded by debt.
hmm
The big wedding, the nice apartment or house, the cars.
Right, they get locked into that lifestyle before building any kind of asset base.
Mhm.
It makes it much harder down the line to break free and build real wealth.
And then you fast forward, the kids leave home, and
Yeah,
maybe the parents realize, uh-oh, we haven't really saved enough for retirement. And sometimes they're then also facing costs for their own aging parents. It's a tough cycle.
it is. So what kind of assets are we talking about? The source lists out some categories.
Okay, what are they?
First up, businesses that don't need you there day to day. They're managed by other people. If you have to work in it constantly, it's more like a job.
Got it. Makes sense. What else?
Then the classics. Stocks and bonds.
Mhm.
Stocks being ownership pieces of companies, bonds being like IOUs, loans to governments or companies.
Okay.
Number 4 is income generating real estate, rental properties, that kind of thing.
Right, property that pays you.
Then notes. Basically, IOUs where someone owes you money and pays interest. After that, royalties from intellectual property, think music, books, patents.
Passive income streams.
Nice. And then number 8, the list actually skips number 7, interestingly, is basically anything else that has value, produces income or appreciates, and importantly, has a ready market if you need to sell it.
Huh, skip number 7.
Okay.
But the core idea is things that grow or pay you.
Precisely. And there's another angle here, passion. The rich dad character in the source advises acquiring assets you actually love.
Why is that?
Because you'll naturally take better care of them. You'll be more interested, more knowledgeable. If you love buildings and land, collecting real estate won't feel like such a chore, even when problems pop up.
That makes a lot of sense. You're invested emotionally, not just financially.
Yeah. And your strategy might differ depending on the asset. Like with stocks, maybe you're in and out of smaller companies more quickly. But with real estate, the approach described is often about starting small, trading up over time, using things like 1031 exchanges to defer taxes and let the equity grow much larger.
So different assets, different games. But the underlying principle is building that column.
And again, the advice is clear. Keep your day job while you do this. That paycheck is your foundation, your seed capital, really.
Don't quit your job tomorrow, basically.
Yeah,
Use it. And you need to understand the numbers, right? Financial literacy.
absolutely essential. Basic accounting, cash flow management. You need to be able to look at a potential investment and understand if it makes financial sense. You have to analyze it.
Now, what about starting your own company? Isn't that the ultimate way to mind your own business?
Well, it can be, but the source offers a pretty strong caution here. The failure rates for new businesses are incredibly high.
Go to the numbers.
Something like 9 out of 10 fail within 5 years. And of the one that survives, 9 out of 10 of those eventually fail too. It's pretty stark.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So unless you have this burning desire, this real passion to build and run your own company.
It might not be the most reliable path for most people compared to steadily acquiring other types of assets while employed.
That puts it in perspective.
And here's a powerful way to think about it. Once a dollar goes into your asset column, it's like an employee.
An employee. How so?
It works for you. 247. It doesn't sleep, doesn't take holidays, and done right, it can keep working for generations. Your money starts making more money.
That's a great concept. Money is your workforce. Okay, finally, let's touch on luxuries.
Ah, yes, the rewards. There's a big difference in how luxuries are acquired, according to the source.
That's
The rich tend to buy luxuries last. They build up their assets and then use the income generated by those assets to pay for the luxury.
okay, funded by the asset machine.
Exactly. Whereas the poor and middle class often buy luxuries first, frequently using debt, credit cards, loans, trying to look rich, but actually digging themselves deeper into debt.
So a true luxury in this framework is like a reward you give yourself after you've successfully built an asset that can pay for it.
Precisely. There's that story of the Mercedes.
Yeah.
It wasn't bought impulsively on credit. It was paid for by the cash flow from apartment buildings that had been acquired and managed over time. The car was a direct result of minding his own business successfully.
And that probably feels very different than buying the same car on a 5-year loan just because you got a small raise.
Completely different. One feels earned and sustainable. The other can quickly become a burden, a source of stress, even resentment if finances get tight.
So wrapping it all up, The core message really seems to be, start minding your own business now. Focus on building that asset column.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Consider the difference, that instant hit you get from buying something shiny on credit versus the perhaps slower but much deeper satisfaction of knowing your assets bought you that thing. Which path feels like it builds real, lasting security and wealth?
Every topic's got a taste, so like, share, and subscribe now. Your next plate's coming soon.